The glitch in the matrix. Zixnera's antennae twitched nervously as she approached the towering gates of the Galactic Academy. The iridescent spires of the campus stretched towards the azure sky of Earth, a planet she had only seen in holograms until today. As a Quetzalian, she stood out among the throng of new students, her blue-tinged exoskeleton and compound eyes drawing curious glances from humans and aliens alike. "You've got this, Zix," she muttered to herself, clutching her datapad like a lifeline. "Just don't embarrass yourself in front of the entire galactic community." No pressure. The orientation was held in the Grand Amphitheater, a marvel of holographic engineering that could accommodate species from water breathers to methane-based life forms. Zixnera found herself a seat near the back, hoping to blend in with the shadows. A holographic projection of Dean Thorax, a venerable Arcturian, flickered to life at the center of the amphitheater. His tentacles waved in a hypnotic pattern as he began his welcome speech. "Greetings, young minds of the galaxy. Welcome to the Galactic Academy, where the brightest stars of our civilizations come to shine even brighter. Today, you embark on a journey that will." The dean's voice suddenly distorted, his image pixelating wildly. The amphitheater erupted in confused murmurs as the hologram flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness. Zixnera's compound eyes adjusted quickly to the dim emergency lights. She glanced around, noticing the panic spreading among her fellow students. Without thinking, she pulled out her datapad and began tapping furiously. Come on," she whispered, her fingers flying over the holographic keyboard. "It's just a simple system overload. I can fix this." Years of tinkering with discarded tech on her home world had prepared her for this moment. She found the Academy's network, bypassed the firewall with a trick she'd learned from a rogue AI, and dived into the system's core. "Gotcha," she exclaimed, perhaps a bit too loudly. A few nearby students turned to look at her curiously. With a few more keystrokes, Zixnera rerouted power to the amphitheater's main systems. The lights flickered back to life, and Dean Thorax's hologram reappeared, looking slightly bewildered. "Apologies for the technical difficulties," the dean said, his tentacles twirling in embarrassment. "It seems our systems are not as infallible as we'd like to believe. Now, where were we?" As the orientation resumed, Zixnera allowed herself a small smile of satisfaction. But her triumph was short-lived. As she was about to close her datapad, a string of code caught her compound eye. It was unlike anything she'd seen before, a subroutine buried deep within the Academy's eye. "Project Shadowfleet," she murmured, her antennae perking up with curiosity. Before she could investigate further, a hand tapped her shoulder. Zixnera nearly jumped out of her exoskeleton. "Hey, that was pretty impressive," whispered a human girl with wild red hair and a mischievous grin. "I'm Alex. Looks like we're roommates." Zixnera chittered nervously. "Oh, hi. I'm Zixnera. Nice to meet you." Alex's eyes sparkled with interest as she glanced at Zixnera's datapad. "What's that you found? Looks juicy." Zixnera hesitated for a moment, then decided to trust her new roommate. "I'm not sure. I found this hidden subroutine while fixing the system. It's called Project Shadowfleet, but I can't access it." Alex's grin widened. "Oh, I love a good mystery. You know, there are rumors about secret Galactic Council projects. This could be big." As Dean Thorax droned on about academic integrity and interspecies cooperation, Zixnera and Alex huddled over the datapad, trying to crack the encrypted file. "It's no use," Zixnera sighed after several failed attempts. "The security on this is unlike anything I've seen. It's almost as if..." "As if what?" Alex prompted, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "As if it's not just digital security," Zixnera mused, her antennae twitching in concentration. "Look at this code structure. It's asking for some kind of biological key." Alex leaned in closer, her breath fogging up Zixnera's exoskeleton slightly. "Biological key. Like DNA." Zixnera nodded, her compound eyes reflecting the scrolling code. Exactly. And not just one sample. It looks like it needs DNA from 5 different species to unlock. Well, that's not suspicious at all, Alex chuckled. A secret file hidden in the Academy's AI that requires DNA from 5 species to access. Count me in on this mystery. Zixnera felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. On one hand, she was thrilled to have made a friend so quickly, especially one who shared her curiosity. On the other hand, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were stepping into something far bigger than a simple academic puzzle. As the orientation came to an end, Zixnera and Alex slipped out of the amphitheater, their minds racing with possibilities. "Okay, partner in crime," Alex said as they walked towards their dormitory. "Where do we start? We need DNA from 5 different species. Any ideas?" Zixnera's antennae drooped slightly. "We can't just go around collecting DNA samples from our classmates. That's a violation of at least 17 Galactic Council privacy laws." Alex waved her hand dismissively. "Details, details. We're on the verge of uncovering what could be the biggest secret in the galaxy. Sometimes you have to bend a few rules for the greater good." As they entered their dorm room, Zixnera's datapad suddenly lit up with an incoming message. The sender was listed as unknown, and the message contained only a series of coordinates and a time. "Well, that's not ominous at all," Alex said, peering over Zixnera's shoulder. Zixnera's exoskeleton paled slightly. "What have we gotten ourselves into, Alex?" Alex threw an arm around her new friend's shoulders, careful not to disturb her antennae. "An adventure, my dear Zixnera. We've gotten ourselves into an adventure." As night fell over the Galactic Academy, Zixnera found herself unable to sleep. The mysterious message and the encrypted file weighed heavily on her mind. She glanced over at Alex, who was snoring softly in her bunk, a datapad with conspiracy theory forums still glowing on her chest. Zixnera silently slipped out of bed and made her way to the window. The Earth's moon hung low in the sky, its cratered surface a reminder of the vastness of space and the mysteries it held. She thought of her home world, light years away, and the pride her family had shown when she was accepted into the academy. What would they think if they knew she was already caught up in some kind of galactic intrigue? As she stared at the moon, a shooting star streaked across the sky. In that moment, Zixnera made a decision. Whatever secrets Project Shadowfleet held, whatever dangers lay ahead, she would see this through. With Alex by her side and her own formidable intellect, she felt ready to unravel the mystery that had quite literally fallen into her lap. Little did Zixnera know, as she gazed at the stars with a mixture of determination and trepidation, that her actions had already set off silent alarms in the deepest, darkest corners of the Galactic Council's secret archives. In a hidden bunker light years away, a pair of cold, alien eyes watched a blinking red dot on a star map, a dot centered precisely on Zixnera's location at the Galactic Academy. The adventure had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Galactic Scavenger Hunt. The coordinates from the mysterious message led Zixnera and Alex to the shadiest part of New Oxford, the sprawling city that had grown around the Galactic Academy. Neon signs in a dozen alien languages illuminated the grimy streets, advertising everything from Andromeda Ale to Zeta Reticuli Zeros. "Are you sure about this?" Zixnera chittered nervously, her antennae twitching at every sudden movement in the shadows. Alex grinned, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "Absolutely not. That's what makes it fun." They arrived at their destination, a dingy bar called the Rusty Photon. As they entered, conversations hushed, and a motley crew of aliens turned to stare at the newcomers. "Act natural," Alex whispered, sauntering up to the bar. "2 Milky Way mojitos, please." The bartender, a grizzled Trandoshan with more scars than scales, grunted and slid 2 glowing blue drinks towards them. "You're in the wrong part of town, kids." Zixnera was about to agree wholeheartedly when a smooth voice behind them said, On the contrary, they're exactly where they need to be. They turned to see a tall, elegantly dressed Serene. His iridescent skin shimmered in the low light, and his 4 arms were crossed in a gesture of casual confidence. Professor Zixvol. Zix Nera gasped, recognizing the renowned xenobiologist from the academy. The Sirene smiled enigmatically, in the flesh, though perhaps not for the reasons you might think. I'm the one who sent you the message. Alex's eyes narrowed. Why all the cloak and dagger routine? Because, my dear, what I'm about to tell you could reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. He gestured to a private booth. Shall we? As they settled into the booth, Zixvol activated a personal force field, ensuring their conversation remained private. You've stumbled upon something that many have died to keep secret, he began. Project Shadowfleet isn't just a hidden file. It's the key to unlocking humanity's true place in the galactic order. Zixnera's compound eyes widened. What do you mean? The Galactic Council has been suppressing humanity's potential for centuries, Zixvol explained. The dark warships you've discovered. They're of human origin, built by an ancient Earth civilization far more advanced than anyone realizes. Alex slammed her fist on the table, rattling their untouched drinks. I knew it. The conspiracy theorists were right all along. Zixvol nodded gravely. Indeed. But to unlock the full truth, we need those DNA samples. 5 specific ones, to be exact. He slid a holodisk across the table. It flickered to life, displaying 5 silhouettes. A Quantalarian, an Arcturian, a Volcran, a Thorian, and a human. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, Zixvol said with a wry smile, is to collect these samples. But be warned, the Council has agents everywhere. Trust no one. As if on cue, the bar's entrance exploded inward. Armored figures stormed in, weapons raised. Speaking of which, Zixvol sighed. It seems our conversation has been cut short. In a flash, he produced a small device and pressed it into Zixnera's hand. When the time comes, you'll know how to use it. Now run. Chaos erupted in the bar. Patrons dove for cover as energy blasts crisscrossed the room. Alex grabbed Zixnera's arm, dragging her towards the back exit. Wait, Zixnera cried. What about Professor Zixvol? They glanced back to see the Sirene engaged in an improbable 4-armed fistfight with 2 armored assailants. He caught their eye and winked. Go, find the truth. Heart pounding, Zixnera allowed Alex to pull her through the kitchen and out into a dank alley. They ran, weaving through the labyrinthine back streets of New Oxford until the sounds of pursuit faded. Gasping for breath, they finally stopped in a quiet courtyard. The holodisk was still clutched in Zixnera's hand, the 5 silhouettes glowing softly in the darkness. Well, Alex panted, a wild grin on her face. I guess we're going on a scavenger hunt. The next few days were a blur of adrenaline and close calls. Their first target was the Quantalarian sample. They infiltrated a high society gala at the Galactic Embassy, with Alex posing as a waiter and Zixnera using her natural camouflage abilities to blend in with the exotic plants decorating the venue. Remind me again why I'm the one in this ridiculous outfit. Alex grumbled through her fake smile, balancing a tray of hors d'oeuvres. Zixnera's voice came from somewhere near a large fern. Because you're better at talking to people, and I'm better at not being seen. Now focus. Our target just entered the room. The Quantalarian ambassador glided through the crowd, his crystalline body refracting the light in dazzling patterns. Alex maneuvered closer, offering her tray with a courteous nod. Delightful, the ambassador trilled, plucking the canapé with his energy tendril. I don't believe I've seen you at these functions before. Alex's smile never wavered. Oh, I'm new to the catering staff. It's quite an honor to serve such distinguished guests. As the ambassador sampled the hors d'oeuvre, a tiny drone, no larger than a fly, detached from the underside of the tray. It zipped towards the Quantalarian, taking a microscopic sample from his crystalline surface before returning to Alex's tray. Mission accomplished. Alex subvocalized into her hidden calm. 1 down, 4 to go. The Arcturian sample proved more challenging. They tracked a retired Arcturian general to the nebula's edge, an illegal underground fighting ring hidden in the asteroid belt. "This is insane," Zixnera hissed as they pushed through the rowdy crowd. Aliens of all species were placing bets and cheering as 2 massive creatures grappled in a zero-gravity arena. Alex's eyes were alight with excitement. "I know. Isn't it great? Look, there's our target." The Arcturian general sat in a private booth, tentacles waving as he shouted encouragement to one of the fighters. "So what's the plan?" Zixnera asked. "Please tell me it doesn't involve one of us fighting." Alex's grin widened. "Oh, it absolutely does. But not us." She pulled out a small cage containing what looked like a hyperactive ball of fur. "Meet Squiggles, my pet Rigelian hookworm. Don't worry, he's mostly harmless." Before Zixnera could protest, Alex had already approached the bookie and placed a bet. 1,000 credits on the newcomer. Squiggles the Destroyer. The crowd went wild as the tiny creature was released into the arena. To everyone's shock, Squiggles began to grow, and grow, and grow, until it towered over its opponent. In the ensuing chaos, as credits changed hands and security tried to contain the situation, Alex and Zixnera slipped into the general's booth. A quick brush against his tentacles with their sampling device, and they were gone, leaving behind a very confused Arcturian. 3 more samples to go, and their pursuers were getting closer. They barely escaped a Volcran spa resort with their quarry, and their dignity intact, and their raid on a Thorian temple left them both covered in bioluminescent alga for days. Finally, only the human sample remained. "You know," Zixnera said as they sat in their dorm room, surrounded by star charts and half-eaten snacks, "we could have just used your DNA from the beginning." Alex shook her head. "Nah, where's the fun in that? Besides, the file specifically asked for the DNA of a descendant of the ancient human civilization, and I think I know just the person." She pulled up a hologram of a stern-looking woman with steel-gray hair. "Meet Dr. Eleanor Graves, leading expert in pre-contact human history, and, if the rumors are true, the direct descendant of the admiral who led the original Shadow Fleet." Zixnera's antennae drooped. "Let me guess. She's locked away in some top-secret facility." "Even better," Alex grinned. "She's giving a lecture on campus tomorrow." As they formulated their plan, neither of them noticed the small drone hovering outside their window. Its camera focused intently on the scattered evidence of their galactic scavenger hunt. In a dark room light years away, a figure watched the feed with growing interest. "So," a cold voice mused, "the game is afoot. Prepare my ship. It's time I paid Earth a visit." The galactic scavenger hunt was over, but the real adventure was just beginning. The Rogues Gallery. The lecture hall was packed to the brim with students and faculty, all eager to hear Dr. Eleanor Graves speak on pre-contact human history. Zixnera and Alex slipped into seats near the back, trying to look inconspicuous. "Remind me again why we can't just ask her for a DNA sample," Zixnera whispered, her antennae twitching nervously. Alex rolled her eyes. "Oh sure, let's just walk up to the leading expert on ancient human civilizations and say, 'Excuse me, ma'am, we need your DNA to unlock a secret file about humanity's suppressed potential.' That'll go over well." Before Zixnera could retort, the lights dimmed, and Dr. Graves took the stage. She was tall and imposing, with piercing eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of ages. "For centuries," Dr. Graves began, her voice resonating through the hall, "we've been told that humanity was a fledgling species when we made first contact. But what if I told you that humans once sailed the stars long before the Galactic Council even existed?" A murmur rippled through the audience. Alex and Zixnera exchanged knowing glances. As Dr. Graves continued her lecture, dropping tantalizing hints about ancient human achievements. Alex nudged Zixnera. "Look at her bracelet," she whispered. Zixnera focused her compound eyes on Dr. Graves' wrist. A simple metal band glinted there, engraved with symbols that matched those they'd seen in the Shadowfleet files. "That's our ticket," Alex grinned. "We need that bracelet." After the lecture, they approached Dr. Graves under the pretense of asking questions about her research. As Alex engaged the professor in a heated debate about theoretical xenorchaeology, Zixnera casually brushed against Dr. Graves' wrist, her specialized sampler hidden in her exoskeleton. Mission accomplished. They were about to make their exit when a commotion erupted at the lecture hall entrance. A squad of Galactic security forces burst in, led by a towering figure in gleaming black armor. "Nobody move," the leader bellowed, his voice distorted by his helmet. "We're looking for 2 students, a human and a Quetzalian. Surrender now, and you won't be harmed." Panic ensued as students and faculty scrambled for the exits. In the chaos, Dr. Graves grabbed Alex and Zixnera, pulling them behind a holographic display. "I know who you are and what you're after," she hissed, her eyes blazing. "If you want answers, follow me. Now." Without waiting for a response, she pressed a hidden button on her bracelet. A section of the wall slid open, revealing a secret passage. They ducked inside just as the security forces reached their position. The passage led them through a dizzying maze of corridors and down several gravity lifts. Finally, they emerged in a vast underground chamber filled with artifacts and technology that looked far more advanced than anything Zixnera had ever seen. "Welcome," Dr. Graves said, a hint of pride in her voice, "to humanity's true legacy." As they gaped at the wonders around them, Dr. Graves quickly ushered them to a central console. "We don't have much time. The Council's forces will find us soon. You have the DNA samples." Zixnera nodded, still in shock. "Ah, yes, but how did you know?" "Because I've been waiting for someone to solve the puzzle for decades," Dr. Graves replied, activating the console. "Quick, input the samples." As they worked, Dr. Graves explained, "The Shadowfleet was real, a testament to humanity's golden age. But the Galactic Council feared our potential. They didn't wipe us out, but they did something perhaps worse. They erased our history, reduced us to a primitive species in the galactic narrative." The console hummed to life as the last sample was processed. A holographic display flickered into existence, showing the schematics of a massive ship unlike anything they'd ever seen. "The Nightingale," Dr. Graves breathed. "The flagship of the Shadowfleet. With this, we can reclaim our place in the stars." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the chamber. Dr. Graves' expression hardened. "They're here. We need to move now." But as they turned to flee, they found their path blocked. The armored figure from before stood in the doorway, flanked by a squad of troops. "I must thank you," the figure said, removing his helmet to reveal a face that was eerily similar to Dr. Graves. "You've done all the hard work for us." Dr. Graves' eyes widened in recognition and fury. "Aleister, you treacherous snake." Now, sister dear," Aleister smirked. "Is that any way to greet family? Especially when I'm about to fulfill our ancestors' destiny." With a gesture, his troops surged forward. In the ensuing chaos, Zixnera found herself separated from Alex and Dr. Graves. She ducked behind a pillar, her mind racing. They needed help fast. Then she remembered the device Professor Zixvold had given her. "When the time comes, you'll know how to use it," he had said. Well, if this wasn't the time, she didn't know what was. Zixnera pulled out the small, innocuous-looking device and pressed the only button on it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the air itself seemed to ripple. A figure materialized beside her, a hologram of a man in an ancient military uniform, his eyes gleaming with artificial intelligence. "Greetings," the hologram said, his voice carrying an air of command. "I am Admiral Thorne, a custodian of the Shadowfleet. How may I assist you?" Zixnera's mandibles clicked in surprise. We need to escape and secure the Nightingale schematics. The Admiral's hologram flickered as he processed the situation. Understood. Initiating emergency protocols. Suddenly, every piece of technology in the chamber sprang to life. Defensive systems activated, force fields shimmered into existence, and hidden exits revealed themselves. Your path is clear, Admiral Thorne announced. Make for the third exit on your left. I'll cover your retreat. Zixnera didn't need to be told twice. She darted from her hiding spot, narrowly avoiding energy blasts from Allister's troops. She spotted Alex and Dr. Graves making their way to the indicated exit. As they reached the threshold, Dr. Graves turned back. The schematics. We can't leave them. But Admiral Thorne's voice rang out, now emanating from the chamber speakers. The data is secure, Doctor. It has been transmitted to a safe location. Now go. They plunged into another series of passages, the sounds of battle fading behind them. After what felt like hours of running, they emerged in a small hangar containing a single, sleek spacecraft. The Hummingbird, Dr. Graves said, a note of reverence in her voice. One of the last Scout-class ships from the old fleet. She'll get us to safety. As they boarded, Zixnera turned to the others. So, what now? Alex grinned, the thrill of adventure shining in her eyes. Now, we find the Nightingale, expose the truth, and maybe save the galaxy while we're at it. Dr. Graves nodded solemnly. It won't be easy. Allister and the Council will be after us. We'll need help. Then it's a good thing I know just the places to look, Alex said, taking the pilot's seat with surprising confidence. I hope you're both ready for a trip to the wrong side of the law. As the Hummingbird lifted off, cloaking itself from pursuit, Zixnera felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. She had come to the Galactic Academy hoping for an education. Instead, she had found herself on a quest to reshape the future of the galaxy. The Hummingbird shot into hyperspace, carrying its unlikely crew towards destiny. The Rogues Gallery awaited, and with it, the keys to humanity's true place among the stars, the awakening. The Hummingbird dropped out of hyperspace with a shudder, its ancient systems groaning in protest. Through the view screen, a massive spaceship graveyard stretched as far as the eye could see, a silent testament to countless forgotten battles. Welcome to the scrapyard, Alex announced, deftly maneuvering between hulking wrecks. If you're looking to disappear or find something that doesn't want to be found, this is the place. Dr. Graves frowned, studying the sensor readings. The Nightingale couldn't possibly be hidden here, could it? It would dwarf everything else. Not the Nightingale itself, Alex grinned, but the key to finding it? Absolutely. Zixnera's antennae twitched nervously. And I suppose this key is guarded by dangerous criminals who'd sooner blast us into atoms than help. Now you're getting it. Alex laughed, bringing the Hummingbird in for a landing on what appeared to be a cobbled-together space station made from the remnants of a dozen different ships. As they disembarked, they were greeted by the business end of several energy weapons. A motley crew of aliens surrounded them, led by a grizzled human with more cybernetic parts than organic ones. Well, the cyborg growled, his artificial eye whirring as it focused on them. If it isn't Alex Trouble Hawthorne, you've got a lot of nerve showing your face here after that stunt on Rigel VI. Alex raised her hands in mock surrender. Come on, Jax. That Rigelian sunset bomb was a work of art. And you know it. Besides, I got something that'll make it worth your while. Jax's organic eye narrowed. I'm listening. Alex nodded to Dr. Graves, who stepped forward. We seek the Nightingale, she said, her voice carrying an authority that made even the hardened criminals pause. I believe you have information that can help us find it. A murmur ran through the crowd. Jax's face remained impassive, but his cybernetic hand twitched, a tell that Alex didn't miss. The Nightingale's a myth, Jax said gruffly. A bedtime story for wannabe rebels. Then you won't mind if we take a look at that interesting artifact you salvaged last month. Alex countered. "The one with the same markings as this." She held up Dr. Graves' bracelet. For a tense moment, Zixnera was certain a firefight would break out. Then, unexpectedly, Jax burst out laughing. "Dan, girl, you've got quad titanium balls. I'll give you that." He gestured for his crew to lower their weapons. "All right, come on. But no funny business, or I'll space the lot of you." They were led deep into the makeshift station, through corridors that defied conventional geometry. Finally, they entered a vault that would have made most museums jealous. Artifacts from 100 worlds lined the shelves, each more mysterious than the last. Jax approached a pedestal at the center of the room. On it sat an object that looked like a cross between a compass and a star chart. "Found this beauty in a derelict ship at the edge of the scrapyard," Jax explained. "Couldn't make heads or tails of it, but it's got the same writing as your fancy bracelet." Dr. Graves examined the artifact, her eyes widening. "It's a stellar cartographer," she breathed. "And if I'm reading this correctly, it's keyed to the Nightingale's unique quantum signature." Zixnera stepped closer, her compound eyes taking in every detail. "But how do we activate it?" As if in response, Admiral Thorne's hologram flickered to life from Zixnera's device. "Allow me," he said, his digital form interfacing with the cartographer. The artifact hummed to life, projecting a holographic map of the galaxy. A pulsing red dot appeared in a sector of space that shouldn't have existed. "Impossible," Jax whispered, his gruff demeanor cracking. "That's the dead zone. Nothing survives there. Nothing except a ship designed to outlast time itself," Dr. Graves said softly. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. Jax's second-in-command, a four-armed Scarian, burst into the vault. "Boss, we've got incoming. It's the Galactic Council, and they brought a whole damn fleet." Jax rounded on Alex. "You led them here." "Not intentionally," Alex protested. "But, maybe we should continue this discussion on the way to our ship." The station rocked as the first volley of weapons fire hit its shields. Without waiting for Jax's permission, Dr. Graves grabbed the cartographer. "We need to leave now." They raced back to the Hummingbird, the sounds of battle echoing through the station. As they reached the hangar, they found their path blocked by a squad of council troops led by none other than Aleister. "End of the line, sister," Aleister sneered. "Hand over the artifact and the AI, and maybe I'll let your little friends live." Dr. Graves stepped forward, defiance blazing in her eyes. "You've forgotten your history, Aleister. Humans don't bow to tyrants." Before Aleister could respond, a barrage of fire from behind forced his troops to take cover. Jax and his crew had arrived, laying down suppressing fire. "Go," Jax shouted. "We'll hold them off." They didn't need to be told twice. They sprinted for the Hummingbird, energy bolts sizzling past them. As they reached the ship, Zixnera felt a searing pain in her side. She stumbled, nearly falling. "I've got you," Alex cried, scooping up the injured Quetzalian and carrying her aboard. The Hummingbird's engines roared to life as Dr. Graves took the controls. They shot out of the hangar, weaving through the debris field as council ships gave chase. "We'll never outrun them in this rust bucket," Alex said, tending to Zixnera's wound. Admiral Thorne's hologram appeared on the bridge. "Perhaps not, but we can outthink them. Doctor, set a course for the dead zone." Dr. Graves' hands flew over the controls. "That's suicide." "Trust me," the AI said, a hint of a smile in his digital voice. The Hummingbird accelerated, pushing its ancient engines to the limit. The council ships followed, their superior speed quickly closing the gap. As they approached the border of the dead zone, strange energies began to play across the view screen. Warning klaxons blared as the ship's systems started to fail. "We're not going to make it," Zixnera said weakly. "O ye of little faith," Alex grinned, her eyes wild with excitement. Just as the Lid council ship was about to fire, a massive shape emerged from the swirling energies of the dead zone. It was a ship, but like no ship they had ever seen. It dwarfed the Council fleet, its sleek lines defying conventional design. "The Nightingale," Dr. Graves whispered in awe. A beam of energy lanced out from the colossal ship, enveloping the Hummingbird in a protective bubble. As the Council fleet scrambled to retreat, the Nightingale drew the smaller ship into a cavernous hangar bay. As the Hummingbird settled onto the deck, its systems finally giving out, the enormity of what had just happened began to sink in. They had found the Nightingale, humanity's greatest achievement, and the key to reclaiming their destiny. The ship's main hatch opened with a hiss of ancient hydraulics. Dr. Graves was the first to step out, her eyes brimming with tears of joy and disbelief. "Welcome home." Admiral Thorne's voice echoed through the hangar, no longer coming from the small device, but from the ship itself. "We have much to do and little time. The awakening has begun." As Zixnera limped out of the Hummingbird, supported by Alex, she gazed in wonder at the vast expanse of the hangar. Rows of sleek fighters stood at the ready, and holographic displays flickered to life, showing the ship's systems coming online after millennia of dormancy. They had found the Nightingale, but their journey was far from over. The real challenge, reclaiming humanity's place in the stars and confronting the Galactic Council, was just beginning. The awakening had indeed begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity's finest hour. The bridge of the Nightingale hummed with energy as systems that had lain dormant for millennia sprang to life. Holographic displays flickered into existence, bathing the expansive command center in a soft blue glow. Dr. Graves, Alex, and a newly healed Zixnera, thanks to the ship's advanced medical bay, stood in awe of the technological marvels surrounding them. Admiral Thorne's hologram materialized at the center of the bridge, his expression a mix of pride and urgency. "Welcome to the heart of the Nightingale. I wish we had time for a proper tour, but the Galactic Council fleet will be upon us soon." As if on cue, the main view screen lit up, showing a massive armada of Council ships emerging from hyperspace. At their center was a behemoth of a vessel, easily rivaling the Nightingale in size. "The Eternal Vigil," Dr. Graves gasped. The Council's flagship, Aleister must have called in every favor he had. Alex whistled low. "So, no pressure or anything, but does anyone actually know how to fly this thing?" Admiral Thorne's hologram smiled. "The Nightingale is more than just a ship. It's the culmination of humanity's greatest achievements. With your permissions, I can interface directly with your minds, allowing you to control the ship as if it were an extension of your own bodies." Zixnera's antennae twitched nervously. "Is that safe?" "It's our only choice," Dr. Graves said firmly. "We didn't come this far to back down now." They each took a position around the holographic interface. As they placed their hands on the control surfaces, they felt a sudden rush of information flooding their minds. It was overwhelming at first, but then everything snapped into focus. Alex grinned wildly. "Oh, hell yes. This is better than any sim I've ever flown." The Eternal Vigil's comm channel crackled to life, and Aleister's face appeared on the view screen. "Eleanor, this foolishness has gone on long enough. Surrender the Nightingale, and the Council might show mercy." Dr. Graves stood tall, her eyes flashing with defiance. "The time for mercy is long past, brother. Humanity will reclaim its rightful place in the stars, with or without the Council's blessing." Aleister's expression hardened. "So be it. All ships, open fire." The space between the two fleets erupted in a dazzling display of energy weapons and missile trails. The Nightingale shuddered under the onslaught, but its ancient shields held firm. "Return fire," Dr. Graves commanded. Alex's hands danced over the weapons controls, her mind perfectly in sync with the ship's targeting systems. Lances of energy shot forth from the Nightingale, cutting through Council ships with surgical precision. Zixnera, meanwhile, found herself in control of the ship's defensive systems. She marveled at how intuitive it felt, almost as if the Nightingale was anticipating her thoughts. Swarms of interceptor drones deployed from hidden bays, neutralizing incoming missiles, and providing a screen against fighter attacks. As the battle raged, Admiral Thorne's voice echoed in their minds. "We need to end this quickly. The Nightingale has another purpose beyond combat." Dr. Graves nodded, understanding flooding through her. The beacon, that's what this ship was truly built for. With a thought, she activated a sequence of commands. The Nightingale's hull began to shift, panels realigning to reveal an intricate array of emitters. "What's happening?" Zix Nera asked, her compound eyes wide with wonder. "We're about to remind the galaxy of who we truly are," Dr. Graves replied, a hint of awe in her voice. The Nightingale's core pulsed with energy, and a massive beam of light shot forth. But instead of destroying the enemy ships, it passed harmlessly through them. The beam continued on, splitting into countless threads that spread across the stars. On planets throughout the galaxy, humans suddenly found themselves awash in long-forgotten memories. Knowledge and skills from their ancestors flooded their minds. The collective legacy of humanity's golden age, preserved within the Nightingale, was being restored to its rightful heirs. Back on the eternal vigil, Aleister stumbled as the beam washed over him. His eyes widened in shock as the truth of humanity's history became clear. What have we done?" he whispered. The Council fleet's attack faltered as human crew members across their ships awakened to their true potential. Confusion reigned as millennia of suppressed history reasserted itself. Seizing the moment, Dr. Graves opened a channel to all ships. "People of the galaxy, you have been deceived. Humanity was not a primitive species uplifted by the Galactic Council. We were pioneers of the stars, guardians of peace and progress. The Council, in their fear, sought to erase our legacy. But no longer." She paused, her voice thick with emotion. "To our fellow humans, reclaim your birthright. To our alien friends and allies, we offer our hands in true partnership, not as subordinates, but as equals. And to those who would continue to oppress and deceive, your time is over." Across the galaxy, the balance of power shifted in an instant. Human colonies, armed with their restored knowledge and awakened potential, rose up against Council control. Alien races that had long chafed under the Council's rule saw an opportunity for true freedom and rallied to humanity's cause. On the Nightingale's bridge, Alex whooped with joy as enemy ships began powering down their weapons. "Would you look at that? We might actually pull this off." But their victory celebration was premature. The Eternal Vigil, under Aleister's command, surged forward in a last desperate attack. "If we can't rule the galaxy," Aleister's voice boomed over the comm, "then no one will." The massive ship barreled towards the Nightingale, its reactors overloading for a suicidal explosion that would destroy them both. "Evasive maneuvers," Dr. Graves shouted, but they all knew the Nightingale couldn't move fast enough to escape the blast radius. In that moment of crisis, Zix Nera felt a surge of inspiration. Her mind melded with the Nightingale's systems in a way that transcended mere control. Quantum fields and probability matrices danced through her consciousness. "Hold on to something," she cried. An instant before impact, the Nightingale shimmered and shifted. The laws of physics seemed to hiccup as the massive ship phased partially out of normal spacetime. The Eternal Vigil passed through them as if they were a ghost, its hull rupturing from the strain of its overloading reactors. As the enemy flagship exploded behind them, the Nightingale snapped back into full reality. On the bridge, our heroes picked themselves up off the floor, dazed but alive. What did you do?" Alex asked, staring at Zix Nera in awe. The Quetzalian's antennae quivered with exhaustion and excitement. "I'm not entirely sure. It was like the ship showed me possibilities I never knew existed." Admiral Thorne's hologram smiled proudly. "It would seem the Nightingale found you as worthy as any human, young Zix Nera. You've unlocked potential even I didn't know we had." As the dust of battle settled, the enormity of what they had accomplished began to sink in. The Galactic Council's iron grip on power had been broken. Humanity had reclaimed its legacy, and in doing so, ushered in a new age of freedom, and cooperation for all species. Dr. Graves gazed out at the stars, tears glistening in her eyes. So much history lost, so many challenges ahead. Where do we even begin? Alex threw her arms around her friend's shoulders, grinning from ear to ear. Isn't it obvious? We explore, we learn, we grow. Together. Zixnera chittered in agreement, her compound eyes reflecting the starfield before them. I think I speak for many when I say, humanity. Yeah, you're pretty amazing. As the Nightingale prepared to jump to hyperspace, carrying our heroes towards new adventures, a sense of limitless possibility filled the air. Humanity had faced its darkest hour and emerged triumphant, not through conquest, but by reclaiming their role as beacons of hope and progress in a vast and wondrous galaxy. The stars beckoned, and this time, all of humanity was ready to answer the call.